They
Mm,
hear, oh, CBD is great for dogs. Oh, I'm going to go get some. And then they go buy a $50 bag of 20 treats that are 5 milligrams each.
mm,
And then they think, oh, I'll give my dog one of these whenever he's feeling, or whenever I feel that he's
mm,
feeling
mm, mm,
stressed, right?
mm,
And so what we were literally doing in this pet CBD industry is leaving the dosing up to the dog owner. I was
mm,
like, no, no, no. There's been really challenging, tough times, but my passion is there. I haven't lost the passion. I want to be able to help every single animal out there and their owners live longer, healthy, happier lives together. But also, regardless of what happens, you know, you got to keep pursuing. You got to keep focused on it. You can't give up on it. And if you don't give up and you're true to your passion, I think in the end you'll be successful. It's not number one,
mm.
chemical free. All
Okay.
right.
That's
In
the
any
that's the
product that,
foundation. Yeah. Mm,
yeah, the foundation is chemical free.
mm, mm,
We've been killing our animals for decades with chemicals, and
mm,
and, and that's just a simple fact.
mm.
Over the past 4 decades, the lifespan of animals has shrunk, and it's because of chemicals that we've added into their diet and into their environment. So that's number one. Whatever it is that we move forward doing, it's going to be chemical free.
Hey guys, before I start the podcast, a quick introduction. My name is Varnit and I'm the founder of Pet Excel Marketing. Pet Excel Marketing is a marketing agency that specifically works with pet businesses. Over the years, we have worked with pet food brand, pet relocation businesses, pet SaaS companies, pet clothing brand, cat food businesses, dog grooming services, and many other product and service-based pet businesses globally. Our services includes everything from creating graphics to running your ad campaign. Not only that, we have built amazing websites and apps for pet businesses. So if you have a pet business and would like us to help grow it, click on the first link in the description to book a call with our team. Now enjoy the podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pet Brand Podcast. I'm your host Varnit, and as always, we are diving into stories behind some of the most passionate and innovative founders in the pet industry. Today, I'm really excited to be joined by Russell Easter, the founder of Crafted Better Days, the company behind Good Dawg Gravy, a brand that's redefining how we think about pet wellness through natural, science-backed nutrition. Russell has raised 7 golden retrievers, and his deep bond with his dogs, especially London and Leo, played a huge role in creating Good Dawg Gravy. Along with his co-founder Stu Hicks, Russell set out to build a product that's not just another supplement, but something truly crafted with care, research, and purpose. So, in this episode, we will talk about his origin story behind brand, the science that makes it different, the challenges of building trust in the CBD pet market, and what it really takes to grow a meaningful company in this space. So let's jump right in. Russell, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Barnett. Nice to see you.
Uh-huh. And Russell, you have raised 7 golden retriever over the year. I was talking about that. What role did London and Leo play in inspiring Good Dog Gravy?
Well, you're correct. I've had 7 golden retrievers. Now that's a combination of me growing up and my parents getting
Yeah,
a
yeah,
golden retriever
yeah.
that I grew up
Yeah,
with.
yeah.
But since I've been out on my own, I've had 5 of my own,
Mm,
and they've been family members to me.
exactly. Yeah.
They've been a part of my entire existence. I've focused on my dogs as my kids. And, as such, I want to do anything and everything I can to make their lives healthier, happier, better, longer.
Yeah.
And so London and Leo were my last two. And I've always had two as I've been an adult. I've always had 2 golden retrievers because as a single guy, it's tough when you have to go to work and leave
Yeah.
a dog home
Yeah.
alone
Yeah. Yeah.
for 8, 9,
Exactly.
10 hours. And so, it was very early on that I decided I was going to have two.
Yeah.
And so when I got my first golden, I bred him, I took his son, and that began a father son kind
Wow.
of experience. So I breed my dogs and take the best pick of the litter. And it was wonderful. Like I said, as a single guy, having a family essentially was always just a beautiful thing. They went with me everywhere. They're
Mm,
my best friends, and so when I began to see them getting older,
yeah.
I'm a former athlete.
Wow.
I've been a basketball, football, baseball player throughout
Wow.
my whole entire life. I've skied. I've done all sorts of
Wow.
athletic endeavors, and because of that, Martin, I've got surgeries. I beat myself up a little bit. So, in about 2016, 2017, I started personally using CBD,
Yeah.
just to calm some aches and pains in my shoulders and my back and my knees, and it worked wonderfully. I've never been a pharmaceutical painkiller guy. I hate those things. But when I found something like CBD, I was taken back. I was shocked that it really truly helped ease the aches and pains that I had in my body. And when my dogs began to get older,
Yeah.
it was 2018, and London had just turned 8, which is in dog world kind of
Yeah.
senior
Absolutely.
elderly
Yeah.
age.
Yeah.
I noticed him slowing down, and the very first thing that really hit me was I own a pickup truck, and my dogs would jump in the back of the pickup truck, and we drive to the river, and they jump out and they jump back in,
Yeah.
and one day London and Leo were running back to jump in the truck,
Yeah.
and London didn't quite make it. He hit the back of the truck kind of chest high and went underneath the truck.
Okay.
And it was at that moment I was like, oh my gosh, he's getting old.
Old. Yeah.
He's getting old, and he can't jump back into the back of the truck again anymore. So it was that point when my mind started thinking, what can I do to help? What can
Hmm.
I do to make his life better?
Yeah.
Um, and it was probably a couple weeks later. I was just on the internet, doing some research, and I came across an article that said CBD had been shown to help canines in their elderly age, and it helped reduce inflammation, helped reduce
Yeah.
pain, and so I was like, well, shoot, why don't
Hmm.
I go get some of this for my dogs? And that began a really long journey, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Um, First thing I did, obviously, jumped online. I was like, so CBD for dogs. What do I need to do? What do I need to get?
Yeah.
I then went up to the corner pet store, up here in Bend, Oregon. I walked in. I started talking to the owner and asking him all sorts of questions. And
Yeah.
and and honestly, I didn't feel comfortable at that point in time because I was getting a lot of different mixed messages. And
Yeah.
again, this was
Yeah.
2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Um, and so I started doing a lot of research into this because I wanted my dogs to try it. But what I found in the industry was a lot of really um, disingenuous kind of approaches. I
Okay.
think in 2018-19 there was a big explosion of this concept of pet CBD, dog CBD, and at that point in time, everybody was jumping into it, and nobody really knew what the heck they were doing. And that was very evident to me within about the first couple weeks that I was doing research into this.
Yeah.
So I ended up like looking at all the products that are out there in the market, the approach that the people that the retailers and the sellers online were taking,
Yeah.
and I started experimenting, and what it eventually led to was an understanding that there really was no true kind of like understanding of how it works, how much of it you need to work.
Yeah.
There was a lot of snake oil salesmen
Yeah.
out there
Yeah.
that were
Yeah.
just trying to take advantage of this.
Hmm.
And when that really became evident, Varnit, was when I went to the largest pet consumer product conference in
Yeah.
the United States
Yeah.
in 2021. It's
Hmm.
called the Super Zoo, and it's
Yeah.
located
Yeah.
in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
So I went there in 2021 just to kind of research the industry, see what was going on in this industry. And what I found was that there was 41 different pet CBD companies in 2021 at this biggest pet conference in the United States. And I talked to them. I found out what makes you better, what makes you better. And, and,
Yeah.
and essentially, they all had the same line of crap. and,
Yeah.
and I was really kind of surprised. And what it really led me to believe was on that trip home was that there was a huge opportunity in the pet CBD vertical
Hmm.
that was being unfulfilled.
Yeah.
And the reasons that behind that were the fact that number one, everyone out there was trying to make an additional penny out of a nickel, and they were just really squeezing
Yeah.
everything that
Yeah.
they could out
Yeah.
of their products to make profit. And what that meant, what that led to, was
Mm.
products using really terrible, like, fillers and things that they would surround CBD with just to get an animal to take it. I also realized, and that was in the pet treat world. Now, in the pet tincture world, which is a dropper of CBD, what I found was that there was a really a real big disconnect
Mm.
between what was going into the product and how it was being made. Now, and what I mean by that is that a lot of the tinctures were using a extremely poor carrier oil,
Okay.
which is the oil that the CBD molecule attaches to and is
Mm-hmm.
delivered through.
Mm-hmm.
And that oil that they were using was really bad stuff. It was causing problems with their livers. It was
Yeah.
causing fatty liver disease. It was
Yeah.
causing a lot of these things that the end user really didn't know.
Yeah.
And the other thing that really stood out to me was that every company out there that was trying to sell CBD products to pets, to
Yeah.
pet owners, did not know what the appropriate dosing amount was, and how actually CBD works within an animal's body.
Yeah.
And so as I did more and more research, it became very clear to me that there was a huge opportunity for a CBD product in the
Mm.
pet industry
Yeah.
that was all natural, healthy, nutritious, human grade, and
Mm.
contained no chemicals. Because as I've been a pet owner throughout my entire life, one of the things I've noticed is that my dog's life from my first dog to my seventh dog
It's
has
decreasing.
shrunk.
Yeah.
And the reason was I did more and more research was because we've been feeding our dogs crap. I mean,
Mm.
literally, we've been feeding our dogs just terrible stuff that's filled with chemicals. It's filled with all sorts of stuff that's unhealthy, and we're not really paying attention to the long term effects of that.
Yeah.
So when I got into this, it was my goal to start a company
Yeah.
that took the opposite approach. Let's focus on the healthiest, most nutritious, all natural,
Mm.
concept. So that we're not affecting our dogs negatively. I mean, CBD is supposed to be a huge benefit, but when
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
covering it in chemicals, I mean, it's almost they counteract each other. So it doesn't really make a difference. The other thing, Varnit, that I discovered within the industry was a, a lack of understanding in the dosage
Yeah.
of CBD and in
Mm.
what an animal needs to actually get the benefits out of CBD on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Um, and then that was another thing that really shocked me. And it was funny as I did this research and I went around and I spoke with people at pet food stores and other people in the industry.
Yeah.
One of the things that really began to resonate with me was the fact that these other companies out there, they're literally trying to provide the smallest dose
Yeah.
of CBD
Mm-hmm.
and then charge as much as they can for it,
Yeah.
just because of the concept that CBD is good for dogs, right? And then there's this entirely other part of this, which
Mm.
is the lack of understanding in how CBD actually works within an animal's body.
Yeah.
And I like to say that CBD is not like a Tylenol. You don't see a dog that is struggling with, hip, arthritis or, anxiety issues
Yeah.
and give it a pill and
Mm.
it solves that. That's not the way CBD works.
Mm.
The
Mm.
way that CBD actually works within an animal's body is it needs to build up over a period of time. And once it's fully engaged in the animal's body, it begins to produce these wonderful results
Yeah.
that, if somebody lets this thing run its course, they're going to see a dramatic change in their animal's life.
Yeah.
Um, And oddly enough, when I was doing all the research and I went into all the pet food stores all throughout Oregon,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I was talking with managers, one of the things that I found out was the number one returned product in a pet food store is a
Okay.
CBD tincture bottle.
Okay.
And that made total sense to me because,
Yeah.
when they're buying it, they're being sold this concept that, oh, your
Yeah.
dog has anxiety, oh, your dog has arthritis. Here,
Yeah.
give him this and it'll fix it.
Mm,
And what
mm.
that led to was the consumer trying it for 2, 3, 4 days and saying, huh, this doesn't work. This doesn't work on my pet. So
Yeah.
what they do is they return it for that $80 that they just spent on that tincture.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all of those things kind of played into me trying to figure out a way
Mm.
to create the world's first all
Wow.
natural, healthy, nutritious CBD products for dogs.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's kind of where it all really kind of came together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's kind of how we ended up on this path.
Yeah. Yeah. And how did that like begin? Like how the entire process begin to find the manufacturer and everything else?
Um, so taking a quick step back, when
Okay.
I first started this business and I went into those stores and I started doing
Yeah. Yeah.
research, I was like,
Yeah.
well, heck, I want to give my dogs
Mm.
an all natural healthy product. I want to give them the best that I can give them,
Yeah.
and not seeing any of that out in the marketplace, I had to sit back and figure out how do I
Mm.
do this.
Yeah.
Um, and what it actually led me to was back when I was in my early 20s
Okay.
and I was living in Seattle, and I had my first two own golden retrievers, and we were it was the three of us living in a house. I had my first
Wow.
job, but I wasn't making a lot of money,
Yeah.
and so at that point in time, I had to kind of suck it up and buy them the crappy
Yeah.
Safeway or the
Mm-hmm.
grocery store market
Mm-hmm.
food. Right,
Mm-hmm.
it's all I could
Mm.
afford.
Mm.
Well, luckily enough, I had a neighbor who was a butcher, and he loved my two dogs. He'd reach over the fence and play with them all the time. He loved them, and because he was a butcher, he would bring home
Mm.
once or twice a week a big bag of just entrails and all sorts of stuff from the butcher shop.
Mm.
And what I ended up doing is I'd throw them in a big pot. I'd throw some bone broth in it. I'd throw some carrots and sweet potatoes and maybe get some
Wow.
liver in there, and I'd cook it up and I'd puree it, and then I would pour it over my dog's food, thinking I'm giving my dogs like a really healthy
Yeah.
additional supplement
Nutritional.
to the
Yeah.
crappy food that I
Yeah.
could that I could only afford.
Yeah.
So here it was, almost 30 years later, and
Mm.
I'm trying to figure out a way to get my dog CBD, and I go to all these places. I'm looking for something that's going to be healthy and nutritious because CBD is an all natural molecule from Mother Earth. There's
Yeah.
nothing
Yeah.
wrong with it. It's a wonderful product. And I was frustrated because I was like, well, I want to try it, but there's nothing that I'm willing to give my dogs because I don't want to give my dogs chemicals and crap. And one night I was laying in bed and all of a sudden it dawned on me. I was like, whoa, what I really need is just kind of a delivery system.
Mm.
That's it. I need a way to deliver CBD to my dogs in an all healthy, natural way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I realized that I'd done this years and years and years ago. I created a
Yeah.
delivery system
Okay.
for CBD to
Yeah.
be delivered.
Uh,
So the next day I got up, I went to the grocery store, and I bought some chicken liver and bone broth and carrots, sweet potatoes. I started chopping it up, threw it in a pan, boiled it up, and then I pureed it. And I had bought some CBD from a local CBD provider here in town,
wow.
and I put that into that mixture, and I poured it over their food, and they
Mm.
loved it. They
Yeah.
loved it. It was like they sat there for 5 minutes after they ate everything and licked their bowls until their tongues went dry. So that was kind of how that whole process kind of got going.
Yeah, yeah, love it, love it. And Russell, since you come from like a strong background in business development and sales, right? Not exactly
Yeah,
difficult starting point for a pet wellness brand, but like how did that experience help you transition into this industry and build a product from scratch?
that's a great question. I think that I was an athlete growing up. I
Yeah.
mean, hence all the surgeries I had. I was a football, basketball player through college, and
Wow.
and so that meant that I'm a really competitive guy, and 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 so as I grew in my sales career, I was in the high tech world, and
Wow.
sales to me is just a competitive environment where you're trying to win, and you'll do whatever you can to win.
Hmm.
As I got further and further into my sales career, I was asked to take over a business development role, which I absolutely loved because it allowed me to be
Hmm.
more creative in
Hmm.
figuring out solutions. I was able to, in my career, begin to figure out how we can pair certain things together to achieve a certain result.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that background and that knowledge helped me, when I decided to make this transition into, this pet supplements kind of world.
Hmm.
Um, I took from my previous career the determination and competitiveness from sales, but also the creativity and how to build something that's going to be
Hmm.
successful from my business development career as well.
Yeah.
So I think the two of those played really well into kind of launching this brand.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And talking about, the process of actually building the product, pet parents today are,
Yeah.
like you said, you are more about ingredient conscious than ever. What were the biggest challenges in creating a pet supplement that's both all natural and human grade?
That is actually at the crux of everything that I've focused on for the last
Yeah.
eight
Yeah.
years. Um, so the biggest challenges I saw in the pet CBD world were number one, people don't know how it works.
Yeah.
So so they sell it like a Tylenol,
Hmm.
and people try it for 2 or 3 days. It doesn't work. They
Hmm.
return it, and they say, "Oh, it didn't work for my dog." And I'm of the position of no, it works for every dog. You just got to give it time to actually work. Now, the other challenges that came into play here were I wanted to create a shelf stable product that I could sit right next to the dog's food, next to the kibble, right? In all of my experience in life, everybody who I know as a dog has a place where their dog's bowls sit, and then right next to where their dog's bowls are, there is their kibble.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also know through my background in marketing that the more steps that you require someone to take,
Yeah. Yeah.
the less chance that they're actually
Exactly.
going to
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
successfully.
Yeah.
So
Basically, it
my
adds a
mind,
friction. Yeah.
yeah, totally. So my mind went to how do I make this as simple and easy as
Wow.
possible for
Yeah.
people to try.
Yeah.
And so where I began to really dig into this, what I realized was that the people that I wanted to help, which was every single dog owner, I needed to make it as simple and easy as
Yeah.
possible for them. And it's funny because over the years I've had people say, "Oh, no, you should use a pump bottle and just send them a pump bottle, or
Mm.
you should, it doesn't need to be a shelf stable. You can just stick it in the fridge."
Yeah.
And to each of those, I was like, no, that's another step that you're
Mm.
requiring
Mm.
someone to do every single day.
Mm. Mm.
And then on top of that, I mean, the other thing is that the products that were out there in the marketplace, they require the pet owner to actually dose the dog. So they've got to think about, okay, how much should I give my dog on a daily
Yeah.
basis? And they've got
Yeah.
to figure all this out. And
Uh,
and the sad
the
part
extra
is
work.
that none of them know what the
Mm.
heck they're doing. They
Mm.
hear, oh, CBD is great for dogs. Oh, I'm going to go get some. And then they go buy a $50 bag of 20 treats that are 5 milligrams each.
Mm.
And then they think, oh, I'll give my dog one of these whenever he's feeling, or whenever I feel that he's
Mm.
feeling
Mm. Mm.
stressed, right?
Mm.
And so what we were literally doing in this pet CBD industry is leaving the dosing up to the dog owner. I was
Mm.
like, no, no, no.
Mm.
So I ended up when I thought this thing through
Mm.
from beginning to end, what I realized I had to create was a way to get to shelf stability
Yeah.
without using chemicals, because that's the big thing in this pet industry is chemicals are used to make all the dog products, all the pet products shelf stable. And I was
Okay.
like, no, I don't want chemicals. I don't want any chemicals, zero chemicals in my product.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, how do I do that? How do I make a product that is shelf stable, that can sit for 30 days next to a dog's, kibble,
Yeah.
and have it be shelf stable without using chemicals?
Mm-hmm.
The other challenge was, how do I offer a pre-dosed product so that the consumer doesn't have to stop and think, how much does my dog weigh?
Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
drops do I need to give them? I mean,
Yeah.
the tincture bottles literally say two to 10 drops. It's like, your dog's this big. So you're as a consumer are like, how many? And they're like, oh shit, I put in too many. Excuse me.
Mm.
I put in too many drops, or I
Yeah.
put in too
Yeah.
little. So
That's extra
I
work for
wanted
the
to work.
consumer. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wanted to create a product that literally took out the decision making. It took out, and any of the other aspects that you might need. Like, I don't want my product to be sitting in a fridge where someone, when they feed their dog in one room, they got to walk into the other room, grab it, pull it back in. I wanted to make it as simple and easy as possible. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that was the biggest lift, as they say, in this whole process, was finding a way to make an all natural, healthy delivery system without chemicals,
Mm.
that was shelf stable,
Yeah.
that could sit right next to that scoop of kibble, and make it so simple and so easy
Mm.
that people just took it as part of the whole process of feeding their dogs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we eventually figured that out, which was, it was about 2.5, 3 years in, Varnit. I was at, I don't know if you are familiar with the Super Zoo, but the
So
Super Zoo is the
yeah.
largest. It's the
Yeah.
largest pet conference in the world. It's in Las Vegas, and I went there in 2021,
Mm.
and there was 41 different CBD companies
Wow.
there, and
Wow.
I walked around, talked to all of them, found out that they're all the same. Nothing was different between any of them. They're all pitching the exact same treats and tinctures filled with chemicals and filled with bad, delivery oil. And I was like,
Yeah.
wow. Oh, and so it was funny because 2 years later, 2023, I went back. There was four. There's four CBD companies out of
Okay.
2,000 companies. And what that really showed me was that there was this huge excitement about pet CBD, and everybody jumped into it. Everybody was trying to, make money off of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in the end, the only people who survived
Mm.
were the people, the companies that were truly focused on what matters. They were focused on the pet's health.
Mm.
They were focused on the quality of the product, on the legitimacy of the product,
Mm.
on the efficacy of the product. And that made me feel real good. It made me feel real good because those four, they were all using chemicals in their product. And I was the only one who had figured out a way not
Yeah.
to use chemicals. And
Wow.
how that happened is an interesting story. So we were in Las Vegas in 2023, and we were talking with a possible co-packer.
Okay.
We had thought, coming out of the gate, my thought was, I'm going to find a co-packer who's going to make my product and package it and ship it.
Mm.
I was actually thinking of the laziest way to be. I was like, yeah, cool. If I could just let them do it all, that'd be great. And what I found in that year and a half that we were looking for a co-packer was the co-packers are so individual and so unique that it's extremely difficult to find a co-packer that has all the licensing, has all the all the
Okay.
production machinery, has
Okay.
all the packaging that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And we ended up finding one, which was amazing. We found one, and we tried to work with them for about 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
And what we found was that they really didn't understand what the heck they were doing. And
Okay.
and it became a really big frustration for me, because when you hire a
Yeah.
co-packer,
Mm.
typically they're not like down the road, they're in another city. And then it was like, and in our case, our co-packer that we finally found was about 4 hours away.
Mm.
And then after months and months of trying to get some just trials, some test patterns out of this, and just give me some test runs. And they were unable to do it. We finally made the decision as a team that maybe we should just because it was our machinery. We had purchased the machinery.
Okay.
We made the decision that maybe we should just bring the machinery back here to our hometown and work on it from here, because that way we have more of a daily kind of, touching it. I'm there able to kind of see it being produced, see it being made, and that gave me a lot more confidence in what we were doing, in terms of just making sure the recipe was right, making sure the packaging was right.
Yeah.
It was one of those moments in an entrepreneur's kind of journey that you have to stop, you have to see where things have been, where things are going, and what the future of that looks like. And if that doesn't look right, you have to be strong enough and agile enough to make that change then.
Exactly.
And so we did. We literally drove 4 hours over with a big, huge truck. We picked up the machine. We brought it over here. We leased a space here. And we began producing here in Bend, Oregon, which is also known as Dogtown, USA.
Okay.
So, we began to produce here. Now, what that leads into is how did we get to this point? And I'm not sure if that's your next question, but that's once we began to produce it. Yeah. So one of the funny things that came from this, Varnit, was I used to make this in my kitchen for my dogs. And I would literally be in the kitchen with a big pot, and I would throw chicken liver, carrots, sweet potatoes, bone broth, and I'd boil it up. I'd puree it. I'd put the CBD in it, and I'd pour it over my dog's dish. When we began to go to the production side of this, we realized that if we're ever going to be able to scale, we have to actually begin to utilize powdered carrots, powdered bone broth, powdered chicken liver. And then that was a big challenge, because I knew my dogs loved what I made in the kitchen. But getting the different levels of different powders and the tastes and all of that stuff was like, we didn't know. We had no idea how much bone broth is going to be equated. So the whole thing began as us doing trials. We did about 1.5 years of trials here in Bend, Oregon.
Wow.
We went to and I said Bend, Oregon is called Dogtown, USA, and what I mean by that is there's about 2 dogs for every person here in Bend, Oregon. It's an outdoor mecca. Everybody has dogs. Everybody has 2, 3, 4 dogs. So what we used to do is we would go to these dog events. We would go to dog parks. We would go to anywhere where dogs and people were, and we would begin to talk to people, and we would ask them if they were willing to try a free month.
Yeah.
And so as we began to go through this, we went through about 300 people that we would give a full free month to. And when I say a free month, what I mean by that is like 30 daily packets that are all already measured. There's already the appropriate amount. This is a large right here. We have a small, we have a medium, we have a small, but they're all pre-dosed based on weight. And we would give this to these customers of ours, and we would follow up. I would literally make a phone call to them on day 3, and I'd ask them, how does your dog like it? And I would take that feedback. Some liked it, some didn't. And then I would call them back, day 10, and I'd say, hey, how's your dog doing? Do you notice anything? Because as I mentioned earlier, CBD takes a while to build up in a dog's body.
Yeah.
And then you typically start to see positive results after about day 7 to 12, like somewhere in that neighborhood. It starts to build up enough their system that all of a sudden they start to change. They start to show great results. And whether that's them jumping onto the couch for the first time in 2 years, jumping into the back of the truck the first time in 2 years, or recovering quicker after a hike, or just being more engaged. And so what we did over those 1.5 years is we kept in contact with all these customers that we were giving away free trials to. And from that, we went from one product, which was the gravy and the CBD, to four products.
Okay.
And then that was because of customers that would come back and say, "Hey, I'm giving my dog glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSN. Can I give him this gravy with those?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Well, shoot, of course." I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. It's an all natural, healthy, nutritious, chemical free product.
Yeah.
But then it dawned on me, I'm like, well, why don't we add those into the
Right. Yeah.
gravy?
Yeah.
And so, within like 3 or 4 months, we had a senior gravy, which tends to be the most successful one we have because people typically don't recognize there's issues going on with their dogs until they get older, right? Until they see them limping.
Yeah.
But we created the senior gravy, and in that senior gravy, not only did we put in CBD, but we put in
Mm.
CBG, which has been shown in trials to attack cancer cells.
Wow.
We included glucosamine, chondroitin, and MSN for joint health and support and mobility.
Mm.
So that
Mm.
was our senior offering.
Wow.
Now we had other customers come to us and say, my dog is just he's so skittish. He's just really on edge all the time. He barks at the door all the time. He's always freaking out. And so I thought that's another opportunity. So what we did is we did more research and we created what we call a calming gravy. And the
Wow.
calming gravy, we simply add in L-tryptophan. And
Mm.
L-tryptophan, as you probably know, is when
Mm.
you're eating your turkey on Thanksgiving, for example, it just calms you down. And what it actually does, it just slows the synapses in the brain. That's all it does.
Okay.
And what we found was it worked wonderfully. I mean, those skittish, afraid dogs, it just kind of calmed them down, made them
Wow.
cool, made them just relax. So there we had our calming gravy.
Okay.
Now, at that point in time, we had three different products. We had a senior gravy, original gravy, and a calming gravy. We
Mm.
had each one of those in four different sizes because they're all pre-dosed, right?
Yeah.
Again, very simple, very easy. All you gotta do is tear it open, pour it over, and you're
Okay.
good.
Love it.
And then it was like, well, maybe we need to think about a youth gravy because all we're really doing in the end is we're
Yeah.
supporting the endocannabinoid system within an animal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what CB does in an animal is it brings it into homeostasis. And
Mm.
homeostasis is simply the state of all of your organs and all of your systems within your body working
Mm.
optimally together. And if I can get an animal into homeostasis and all of its organs and systems working optimally together, I believe that we can actually fend off some of those diseases and sicknesses that come as an animal gets older and weaker. And I think that it's really important that we keep our dogs as healthy as possible because again, that's going to help us enjoy more fun
Definitely.
time with them in the end.
Definitely.
So
Definitely. Uh,
yeah. So we now have four different what we call core longevity toppers.
wow.
And I don't know if you've ever actually seen this book, but this book
Okay.
was kind of the
Wow.
Bible for me.
Uh,
The Forever Dog by Rodney Habib was essentially a roadmap for me.
wow.
It was an interesting deep dive into what makes your dog live longer.
Wow.
And oddly enough, I mean, as stupid as it sounds, it's three things: it's environment, diet, and exercise. Imagine
Definitely.
that.
Definitely.
Yeah. So
Uh,
so it was funny, but in that book, he talks about core longevity toppers. And after reading the book, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. That's what
mm.
I've created. I've
Yeah.
created a core longevity topper, which in his opinion is simply additional nutrients
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
sustenance that comes from outside of that daily kind of kibble.
Yeah.
Um, and so with carrots, sweet potatoes, bone broth, and liver, it's just a nice addition to their diet that helps their body function better, function
Love it.
longer.
Mm.
So
Love it.
yeah,
Love it. And you have also you have also have a co-founder with the brand, right? Stu Hicks. So you brought like
Yep.
deep experience with hemp and CBD formulation. So how did
Yep.
you and Stu combine your strength and vision to shape the company direction?
No, great question.
Mm.
As I mentioned, I spent my career in high tech.
Yeah,
Um, well, sports and then high tech.
yeah, yeah.
And in my time in high tech, I rose to the level of senior manager for a tech
Wow.
company, and I actually hired Stuart about 10 years ago.
Okay.
And it was an interesting kind of dynamic. We immediately found out we had similar friends, and he's from the East Coast, I'm from the West Coast, and all of
Yeah.
a sudden we realized we had all these kind
Mm.
of great connections. So we worked together about 10 years ago,
Mm.
and here it was a decade later, and I decided I want to start this company, and
Mm.
and through kind of the just the small town chatter, I found out that Stu had started a CBD company.
Okay.
So when I decided to start the company, I was like, well, shoot, I should give my buddy Stu a call. And I
Yeah.
reached
Yeah.
out, called Stuart, and I said, hey, Stu, I've got this great idea. I'd like to talk to you about it.
Mm.
And going in, my thought was maybe he could be my CBD supplier, right? That
Yeah.
was that was where I was initially.
Yeah.
Now, when Stu and I went out and had coffee and we started chatting and talking about kind of this concept that I had, I had the business plan. I'd been out pitching it, and I was basically looking for a supplier. Well,
Mm.
as it
Mm.
turned out, Stuart had literally left the sales world and had gotten into the CBD world 100%.
Wow.
And it was because he had had some physical issues. He
Okay.
had adult onset of goodness, what was it? He it was some sort of issue that he was dealing with that he
Mm.
had used CBD to address, and
Okay.
he had found tremendous relief with this CBD that he was using, and what that led to was him actually going out and leasing
Mm.
a couple acres and growing hemp and
Wow.
and actually harvesting this hemp and actually turning all that hemp into CBD. And then he got into kind of brokering CBD.
Okay.
And so I was shocked by that when I met with him. I had no idea that he was that deep into it.
Yeah.
And then he told me that he'd actually helped a couple CBD companies launch. When I heard that, I thought to myself, well, I've never launched a company. I,
Yeah.
I don't know everything about CBD, and I just thought, well, hey, would you be interested in helping with this? And Stu looked at me. He said, Russ, I've dealt with a lot of people looking to launch CBD companies. He goes, but I have not seen anything that
Okay.
has the opportunity like this does.
Mm.
And so Stu jumped on board, and we've been
Yeah. Love it.
pounded through it for the last 4 years together, and we make a pretty good team. Stuart is in charge of operations. He takes care of the ordering, the production, all that
Okay.
stuff. I'm on the other side of it. I'm out, talking with people,
Yeah.
marketing the
Yeah.
product,
Yeah. Yeah.
meeting with people,
Yeah.
trying to really push the vision
Yeah.
and speak to the vision.
Mm.
So it's turned out to be a really strong
Love
relationship,
it.
and I couldn't have asked for a better partner.
Yeah, yeah. And Russell, once the product was out in the world, feedback must have started pouring in, right? So what kind of responses do you hear most often from pet parents using Good Dog Gravy?
It's funny. There's one thing that I've heard consistently
Yeah.
over the last couple of years, which is thank you. I've got my dog back.
Wow.
And to me, that's like the most gratifying thing I think I could ever hear, because
Mm. Mm.
as a dog owner, we go through these
Mm.
thousands of the best moments in our life,
Mm.
which
Mm.
with them that lead to one of the most difficult
Mm.
moments of our lives, and
Mm.
it's that period of time where they're at their peak and they begin that downward kind of trajectory, as you and I both will when we get into our into our elder years. But my goal in starting this business was to help slow that down, help
Mm.
slow down that that deterioration that we see in all of our dogs.
Exactly.
And so one of the very first people that we ever gave this product to, she was a single mother, and she had two young children. I think the children were 5 and 3,
Okay. Okay.
and she had an old dog, a 12-year-old dog that was her dog, right? Her dog from, for 12 years.
Yeah.
And and we said, hey, well, here, try this on your dog. And as it turned out, the dog, up until that point, had been on a downward trajectory and had been spending every day in the closet, in the darkness of the closet, because it was just kind of at that point in its life where, it was kind of just, it just needed to sit in the closet all day long. And about 2 weeks later, she called us up and she was crying. And she said, you've given me my dog back. And not
Wow.
only that, you've allowed me to show my children
Wow.
my dog, the dog that's been with me for all of the toughest times of my life. And it was really wonderful. This dog that had been sitting in the closet for the last year and a half, 2 years, because it was aging and it didn't
Mm.
like being around small children, was now out in the living room every day.
Wow.
It was jumping up onto the couch with the children. The children were playing with it, and it really affected her. And that's when I knew I was on the right path. Was when I
Love it.
was
Love it.
helping a mother, a single mother, bring her children and her dog together. That was a really special moment that really kind of pushed us to try harder.
Love it. Love it. And also, Russell, subscription model, they are becoming a big part of
Oh yeah.
this product, right?
Oh yeah.
How has
Yep.
your subscription approach worked out so far?
Well, you're right. Absolutely. The subscription model in the pet industry is the main focus these days.
Yeah.
It's just so easy, right? It's like
Yeah.
once a month it just shows up at your door. You don't have to go to the store, you don't have to order, you don't have
Exactly.
to do anything. It just
Uh,
shows up and you're good. And when I came into this whole thing, I understood a couple really important things. And as I've touched on those earlier, I'll bring them back up again. One of the things that's really, really important is that CBD is not like an Advil. CBD is not going to treat a headache. CBD is not going to treat an aching bone with one dose. You have to give the dog a daily supplement. It has to be daily because it has to build up in their system. And
Basically, a
as it builds
long-term
up in their
approach.
system,
Mhm.
yes, exactly. It has to build up in their system. So my whole thing is like, no, I don't want to give you one or two or three. I want to give you 30.
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
want you to see
Yeah.
the gradual benefits that come from continued use.
Mm.
And so when we started to think about the business model, when I started thinking about business model, I was like, oh my gosh, this just makes total
Totally.
sense.
Yeah.
Here's a product that needs to be taken daily to provide the results that we all know it's going to provide. And if that's the case, then let's look at a way that we can provide a daily product to somebody. And then that just led into the subscription model, which, it's if it's going to be a daily supplement, well, then you know what? Once a
Yeah.
month, you get 30 daily supplements that you just sit next to your dog food and you pour them on the food and you're good.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Yeah. Definitely. And also talking about the marketing and strategy side of things. Building a great product is definitely one thing, like getting into people's hand is another, right? What's
Yeah.
been your most effective marketing channel so far? Like, is it direct to consumer? Is it retail, vets, or like something else?
Right now I would be I would not be saying truth if it wasn't direct to consumer. It's like literally the way that we built up our subscription base
Yeah. Yeah.
has been personal contact.
Okay. Okay.
Going out to dog parks, going out and talking
Mm,
with people.
mm,
Because
mm.
again, the challenge is that there's a lack of education out
Absolutely.
there.
Yeah.
And I blame the industry for that.
Mm.
The industry itself is selling this like an Advil. And that's just not the way it works. It's just not the way it happens. So, we've had a lot of success going out, talking with people. Just in fact, the
Okay.
other day
Got it. Yeah.
I was driving down the street and I saw a woman walking her dog, and the
Wow.
dog was limping, and I could tell the dog was old. And I pulled over and I
Mm.
said, "Oh, can I pet your dog?" And we just started a conversation. The lack of education is definitely a hurdle that we know
Definitely.
we have to
Mm.
get over.
Mm.
And so we've achieved a lot of success just
Mm.
through that personal one-on-one
Mm.
discussions,
Mm.
and that can even be online. I mean, I have people, send me questions through our website and asking me about, well, is this good? Or should I try this?
Mm. Mm.
But it's that
And
personal
what are
connection
the
that I think.
basic what are the basic skepticism and doubts that you get most often from their end?
Yeah, the skepticism I think comes from, again, the lack of understanding
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that it's not like an Advil. Like, and so I run into people all the time. I said, "Oh no, I tried it. It didn't work."
Yeah, yeah.
And my follow-up question is, "Oh really? So what'd you try?" And they
Mm.
say, "Oh, I tried tinctures or I tried treats." And I said, "Oh really? So how long did you try it for?" And a lot of times they say, "Well, couple of days, week, and the other thing I hear is, well, and I ask them, "Well, how much were you giving them?"
Mm. Mm.
And they don't know the answer to that. Like, "Oh, well, I bought this bag of treats
Yeah.
and I gave them one and I didn't see anything, and the next day I gave them one and I didn't see anything." And
Mm.
the problem is those treats are 5 milligrams each. and and for example, a small dog,
Mm.
a small dog, which is under 25 pounds,
Yeah.
they require 25 milligrams of CBD to actually make any effect, right? So
Yeah.
when you're giving a dog a 5 milligram treat once a day, it's not doing anything.
Mm.
Now, if you step that up to a medium dog, a large dog, like a Labrador retriever, or maybe even an extra large dog, that $50 bag with 25 milligram treats, that equates to 1 day
Yeah.
of what we're giving our
Yeah.
dogs, our
Wow.
customers.
Wow.
I mean, the industry has approached it from this perspective that is extremely frustrating because, again, the level of dosing, and what we use is Cornell. You're familiar with Cornell
Yeah, yeah,
University?
yeah. Yeah.
So Cornell University has the leading industry research on pet CBD. They've done
Wow.
extensive research.
Mm-hmm.
And all of the dosing that I provide in my products is based off of Cornell's research.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
All of our competitors, they're trying to give you as little and charge you as much as possible,
Okay.
thinking that you're doing something good for your dog
Mm.
and maybe never seeing any results from it. What I'm focused on is helping the animal. I'm focused on helping that animal live the best, healthiest, happiest, longest life possible. And to do so, I know that their CBD product, has to be appropriately dosed. Um, I was at the pet store today, and there was a bag of CBD treats
Yeah.
that said 100 milligrams of CBD in this package,
Okay.
and it had 20 treats.
Okay.
And I literally laughed. I was like, that is literally one extra large
Okay.
daily package. And,
Yeah.
and, and it's like, oh man, I felt terrible for the people who are wasting their money,
Yeah.
thinking that they're getting something that's not going to do what they expect it to do. And
Mm.
and so I came into this knowing that the industry has a lot of challenges, and I made the focus of my company to be, we're going to be the most honest, ethical,
Wow.
healthiest, most
Natural.
nutritious
Yeah.
product without chemicals that there is out there in the industry.
Love it. Love it. Russell, talking about leadership and entrepreneurship itself, founding a company always comes with a lesson, sometimes a hard way, right? What's the biggest leadership lesson you have learned since starting Crafted Better Days?
I think the biggest leadership lesson is to focus on the passion. Um, if you
Definitely.
don't have a passion, if you don't have a passion for what you're doing,
Mm.
you're not going to be able to truly succeed in the end. I mean, I've been really successful at in sales and marketing throughout my career, but
Yeah.
but I was never passionate. I was never passionate
Okay.
about it. And I mean, and it was interesting. There was a moment in time. I had a close friend about a decade ago, and he got into real estate. And one of the things he said to me that stuck with me was he we met for coffee, and he looked at me and he said, I just closed a house. And I was like, oh, congrats, high five. And I saw this look in his eye, and he said, there's just never been anything more fulfilling
Yeah.
than seeing someone handing the keys over to someone and knowing that you've affected their lives,
Yeah. Yeah.
knowing that you've made a benefit,
Yeah.
you've made their lives better.
Yeah.
And here I am, I'm out there selling $50 million deals in tech, and I'm like, yay, that closed. But
That
there
die.
was never a feeling
Yeah.
of like, God, I feel good about that. Sure, it was a nice paycheck, but internally there was never that real true kind of feeling that I loved it, that I was passionate about it. And so as an entrepreneur, and deciding to make that transition from that corporate world into this entrepreneurial world,
Mm-hmm.
the one thing that I think has been so important is literally the passion that I have in my
Absolutely.
heart to make sure that every single animal and pet owner out there get to live the happiest, longest, healthiest lives together
Wow.
possible.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
Because in the end, that's all we ask for. In the dog's final days, there's not a single pet owner that doesn't look at themselves in the mirror with a tear in their eye and say, I wish I had more time. And so when I started this whole thing, that was my whole focus. That was my passion, is giving the pet owner and the pet more time together. And
Wow.
that's why our tagline is more fun days. I mean, it's
Wow.
pretty
That
self-explanatory.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Mhm. And looking forward to the future, the pet wellness spaces. Definitely, it's expanding rapidly. So,
Yeah.
how do you see Crafted Better Days evolving? Like new
Mhm.
products, categories, or like maybe beyond dogs altogether?
No, that's a great question. I mean, obviously, I'm completely focused on what we're doing today, but when I stop and look at kind of my plans for the future, they
Yeah, yeah.
include a lot of the similar things. Now, number one,
Hmm.
chemical free. All
Okay.
right, any
That's the
product that
foundation. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah, the foundation is chemical free.
Hmm. Hmm.
We've been killing our animals for decades with chemicals, and
Hmm.
and, and that's just a simple fact.
Hmm.
Over the past 4 decades, the lifespan of animals has shrunk, and it's because of chemicals that we've added into their diet and into their environment. So that's number one. Whatever it is that we move forward doing, it's going to be chemical free, and that includes a couple different things that we have on the roadmap. Number one is nootropics. There's been tremendous research done with mushrooms that
Okay.
help the cognitive abilities of animals, and that's
Hmm.
lion's mane, turkey tail, a lot of these mushrooms that we're going to be including in a
Wow.
line of gravy. So
Wow.
a cognitive line of topper gravy that's going to help an animal's cognitive abilities. That's number one. We're also in discussions of products such as flea and tick spray,
Yeah.
shampoos, all of these
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
things within the animal world that
Hmm.
that are
Hmm.
filled with chemicals that
Yeah.
we're giving to our animals every day. I
Hmm.
want to create a line of crafted better products
Wow.
that do not have chemicals, that will not negatively affect our animals under the guise of actually doing something good.
Hmm.
And so that's the future. That's the focus. We actually are looking. We have a partner that we're working with right now to
Yeah.
launch on Amazon.
Hmm.
We're in the midst of creating an Amazon um, marketplace, which is called the best dog. I maybe I shouldn't go there.
Okay.
It's a little bit under wraps, but yeah, we're
Okay.
working on Amazon for a launch into
Uh,
something pretty exciting and pretty
yeah,
special.
yeah.
Yeah, and so that is kind of the focus and concept behind the brand is all natural,
All
healthy,
natural.
nutritious,
Mhm.
life extending. What we've created are, I mean, what the actual name of this is a core longevity topper. And
Okay.
what that means is we're looking at and focused on helping animals live longer, healthier, happier lives.
Definitely. Definitely. Love
Yeah.
it. Love it. And last question from my end, Russell, finally, for those listening who dream of launching their own pet brand, What's the one
Yeah.
piece of advice you would give to someone who might be listening to this podcast and they want to build a meaningful, lasting company?
Two things. You have to be passionate about it. You
Definitely.
have to be. You,
Mhm.
you, you can't just start a pet brand and think it's going to explode. I mean, that's just not reality. You have to be passionate about it, meaning you have to be willing to go through the difficult times, the challenging times. I mean, I've gone back to work twice
Yeah.
during this experience because we were in a lull, and I know obviously I need to pay the bills, but I'm so passionate about it. I'm going to get a job so I can keep
Yeah. Yeah.
plugging
Keep
away at
doing
this.
this again. Yeah.
Um, yeah, and the other thing that I would say is not just passion, but you have to have that never ever ever give up mentality.
Mm.
I was told early on by one of the investors I met with and who invested in the company. He said, you know the difference between a successful entrepreneur and a failed entrepreneur?" And I was like, "No, what?" He said, "The successful entrepreneur never gives up."
Mm.
And that has been my mantra since the
Yeah.
beginning of this is, there's been really challenging, tough times, but my passion is there. I haven't lost the passion. I want to be able to help every single animal out there and their owners live longer, healthy, happier lives together. But also, regardless of what happens, you know, you got to keep pursuing. You got to keep focused on it. You can't give up on it. And if you don't give up and you're true to your passion, I think in the end you'll be successful.
Love it. Love it. Russell, this has been an inspiring conversation. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thank you, Varnit. It's really nice talking with you again, and I wish you all the best. Thanks so much.
Definitely. And to everyone listening, if you enjoy this episode, make sure to subscribe to Bitbrand Podcast for more conversation. I will leave all the links in the description below. You can check out all the websites and everything. And yeah, until next time, I'm Varnit, and thanks for tuning in for the Bitbrand Podcast.